Hello, I'm your host, John Cavendish, and welcome to the Amazon Strategist Show, the show that's no hacks, no silver bullets, no magic pills, just real practical strategies for your Amazon business. Today, I have a very special guest, my friend Vanessa. She consults on all kinds of matters and solves all the unsexy stuff on your Amazon account. She's helped thousands of sellers through her social profiles and her influence, and she was previously co-host of the Wizards of Ecom podcast en español. That's my best Spanish, probably more like European Spanish accent. She's also now community ambassador for Carbon 6, and she shares her knowledge, strategy, and tactics through many e-commerce platforms, which we'll share at the end, so you can follow her wherever she is on the internet. So, without further ado, welcome, Vanessa Hung.
Hi, John. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm excited to be here. I love the intro. I love the little candy. Love it.
Oh, thank you. You missed the one that has a giant bang on it, which we have as a backup, which I usually put, and it's the wrong one. I love your background. Like I was saying before, when you first joined, I was like, that's an interesting background, and then you pushed it back and you hit the table behind you. So this is a real background.
Yeah, just to prove my point that it's a real background. It's not a picture behind me.
It's like somebody designed that co-working space based on the stereotype co-working space.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Cool. So where are you right now in the world?
I'm in Utah, in Lehi right now, in the Silicon Slopes of Utah.
Silicon Slopes. Is that like Silicon Valley, but everyone's like a ski-boarding pro?
Uh-huh. Exactly. That is this perfect explanation.
Nice. Is it ski in, ski out?
I wish. No, not here. It's like too low in the valley, but I literally see my window there and it's like the mountain full of snow. So yeah, we're super close. That's the cool thing about this city is that you are not so far from the mountains. So you could go like to snowboard. You could be in the mountains snowboarding in less than 30 minutes, you know? So that's super cool.
Oh, I love it. I haven't been to the snow in so long, and I have no snow clothing whatsoever. I have nothing more than like a thin jacket. So I'm really looking forward to doing some kind of snow activities at some point, coming to visit you once I can find myself a jacket.
Yeah.
Cool. So you don't have a very like Utah accent. What's your kind of journey to coming to where you are now, to Utah?
Okay, so I am from Venezuela. I was born and raised there. I lived there until I was 21. Then I moved to Qatar in the Middle East. I lived there for a while with my family, and then I came to the States and I landed in Miami, where, you know, it's like basically an extension of Latin America. So I was there enjoying the sun for a long time, but because I was born and live in a city with a lot of mountains in Caracas, in Venezuela, I deeply miss that. When I was in South Florida, I was like, I miss that. I don't really enjoy the beach as much as I should. Like, you know, I live like a couple of minutes away from the beach, and, you know, it was to a point where I started traveling a lot because of work. I started in e-commerce, being an e-commerce manager for a company. I, you know, learned there everything that I know about Amazon. Oh, well, a lot of the things that got me to learn more, obviously. And then started to working as a freelancer, as a consultant. Eventually, I opened my own agency, so helping sellers with the management side, unsexy side of Seller Central, the things that everybody neglects, the things that probably not a lot of people know how to do. So because of my job, and I love it as a CEO, part of it was to not only create connections and partnerships and travel to events, but also educating people. So that allowed me to travel across the country. Literally, I went everywhere to events, conference, masterminds, and online too. Like, not only, you know, travel the States, but also I've been in events like from people in, you know, China, India, and Japan, and it's been a crazy journey. So last year, I said that I wanted to move, and I really wanted to go back to the mountains. So I knew that the price that I was going to pay if I moved to the mountains in the US was probably being cold. I don't like to be cold, but now that I live here, I understand that the snow or the cold has a reason, and that's the snow, and we need snow because we want to go snowboarding. So I moved here. I wanted to learn snowboarding, and it happened to be an amazing place for an e-commerce person. There is a huge ecosystem of brands, not only Amazon, but D2C that are, thriving here. It's incredible. Like the ecosystem, startup ecosystem, and the community is super, super cool. That's why I'm here in this co-working space. I met a lot of people in the space just by being here. So yeah, that's kind of my story. I love it here. I don't know if I'll be here forever. It's very cold, but I mean, so far so good.
I love it. It's cool. Yeah, I'm also not a beach person. I'm right by the beach now. I still haven't been on the beach because it's all sandy, I like looking at
Yeah,
it, but I don't like getting sandy. So,
exactly. Or
yeah.
sticky. I hate the stickiness of the beach. Hate it.
Yeah, me too. I'd rather go to mountains. So me and my wife always go to the mountains rather than the beach because we're like, oh yeah, it's too sandy.
Yeah.
Maybe we're weird people. Everyone says, oh, let's go to the beach. So I didn't know you went to Qatar. So your family's still based in Qatar?
No, well, that's my uncle. My uncle lives in Qatar. Yeah, he's still there. I went to visit and then I stay for more than 2 weeks. I planned like for 2 weeks and I stay a lot longer. So yeah, he's still there. That was cool. My aunt actually worked for the FIFA during the World Cup.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I love that place. It's super cool. I would like to go back, not to leave or anything, but it's a nice place for vacation.
Nice. Yeah, I've never been. I will check it out sometime. Cool. Right. So now you're in the mountains, in the snow, snowboarding. So that's super cool. And with Carbon 6. So how did you get involved in Carbon 6? If anyone doesn't know Carbon 6, what is Carbon 6? Just in case anyone hasn't heard of them or seen their ads plastered all over the world.
Okay, so Carbon 6 is basically an ecosystem for e-commerce entrepreneurs to connect their stores in specifically Amazon right now and get solutions to simplify their success. So it's a bunch of tools, different tools for different areas of the business that you can leverage to get better results on your profitability, on your metrics, have a better ROI and overall making more money, basically. So we have tools that go from sourcing products to management, inventory management, to outside traffic, and so on. So I think right now we are at 16 tools, if I'm not mistaken. We always add a new one every month or every 2 months. So yeah. And so, okay, in my journey, as I mentioned, I started my agency, Online Seller Solutions. That's one part that you missed in my intro. I'm still I'm still owner and CEO of my agency. I still run that, and because that led me to travel a lot and be part of masterminds and groups and stuff, I met the owner and founder of Carbon 6. So I remember the time I met him, he was like, I want to build the biggest company in the Amazon space. And that was in 2021. And I'm like, haha, that's funny. You're nice. You're a nice guy. I like you. And then I started seeing them all everywhere, like in every single conference. And, we became friends, not only like with the founder, but with a bunch of people that were already working, the VP of sales, the director of affiliates. So everybody became my friend. And at one point I was just like enjoying a lot to be part of that, that mission. It was like, I felt that I fit it in like right away. It was like this thing, we want to help everybody. We want to help sellers. We want to see what are the things that they need so we can build the tools or we can make better the tools that already exist and then help sellers to succeed. And that's it. And that's it, my whole point and my whole mission, besides obviously helping sellers in their business and solving Amazon problems. My biggest mission is being an educator, and my way to do it right now is just educating people about what they can do to better manage their account or inventory or catalog or whatever it is. That's the way I do it right now. And when I met Carbon 6, it was like this clicks, right? This feels so good. So eventually we had the conversation of like, how would it look if you joined us? And I'm like, I'll be extremely honored to be part of it. So I'm part of the community ambassadors team, kind of like leading that part of the team, and that's basically a bunch of influential people within the industry, like in that are part of Carbon Six, and they're in the industry for a long time too, that contribute, right? And it's everything about education, supporting, representation. So we go to events, we do webinars, we create white papers, we create education, we do things to support the community, because one of the biggest parts that we and for you, John, this is probably true too. A business is not only the solution that you provide to your customers, it's also the experience and the support and that community, that ecosystem that you build around. So everything is one thing together. And I do believe that as an Amazon seller, this journey is pretty lonely. In the sense of like, it's you in your basement, doing your best to launch your brand or to resell that product. There is no, like in other industries, there is more support or more communities or more institutions. So what we saw is that opportunity of like, what if we bring that experience to this space? And that's my whole mission with Carbon Six, is bringing that experience and making sure the sellers are heard, are supported, and they have the top knowledge and the top experience when they use any tool of Carbon Six.
No, I love that. So how do people get involved in that community currently?
So there are many ways. The most obvious one is being part of the Facebook groups. So we have, because each tool have a different use in a way. So we have tools for operations, for PPC, for inventory management, for print on demand. Each tool has its own Facebook group. So if you go to carbon6io/community, in that landing page, you will see all of our Facebook groups. So you can join. That's the place where, we're actively engaging with the community, answering questions, asking polls, asking questions. The other place is, if you, across the world, we are part of many events, in-person events, or also virtual events, where people like me, like community ambassadors or other representative of the company, are there. So you can also engage in that way. And let me see. That's that. The events, in person, online, the Facebook groups. We are building a platform. So one of the things that we are gonna launch this year is single sign up for everything to be in one website, so you can see all of the things. So in that dashboard, we'll have that experience of like, oh, here's the community, so here's that space, kind of like a Slack channel. Imagine something like that. But yeah, that's the ways that you can engage. Obviously, for each community ambassador, because I'm not only a community ambassador for Carbon 6, but I'm also the CEO of my agency, you can always message me or message any of the community ambassadors at Carbon 6, and you will always get that support. So yeah, that's the bigger promise, right?
Well, thanks, Vanessa. And sorry for not mentioning Online Seller Solutions. If you want to work with Vanessa, please do check out Online Seller Solutions. We will put the URL across the screen when we do the edit. Also, I mean, as it's interesting you say, your friends in the industry, because Vanessa's been one of the best people to me in the industry. When I bumped into her at Prosper Show last year, she took me around, introduced me to people, and I'm forever grateful to Vanessa. Thank you for showing me around. It was awesome to meet you.
I love that. That's the second favorite part of my job, like making connections and friends. And, sometimes people click. It's like, oh yeah, and that's the thing that I told you, like, this industry is, or in my experience, and that's been my experience, it's lonely. Like, you build your stuff and people are radically successful, or, making millions and millions of dollars in their basements, in their pajamas, like without a team necessarily. So that's where you're like, oh, wow. It's so cool to get out there and meet people that have the same mindset, because, as an agency or as an Amazon person, when I went to my outside friends, that was just like, what? what is what? Like, what is Amazon? Okay. So, so yeah, things are just different.
No, yeah, for sure. And I think I ever told you this story. It's kind of an embarrassing story. So we were at the Prosper show. I was sitting down at a table with one of the guys from our team. We'd just been walking around, and I hear, "Oh, John," from behind me, and I turn around and I see Vanessa. And you have an amazing face and like names and faces memory. You're like, "Hey, John," and I was like, "Oh shit." I was like, "Who is that?" And so the first time I saw you, I was like, you coming over to hug me, and I'm like, she's very friendly. Who is this person? And it took me like 10 minutes of talking to you before I remember, like, oh yeah, we were on a podcast last year, and it was that's
Oh
where I met you from.
wow! Oh
Because
wow!
I did not remember the first time I met you.
I didn't know that.
I'm terrible at faces. I saw Norm.
sure.
I mean, you can't miss Norm. You were with Norm, and he's like got the
Yeah.
biggest beard.
Yeah.
And I was like, who's this? And obviously now I will never forget you, Vanessa. So thank you so much for showing me around the event. I'm glad I covered that up well.
My pleasure.
Nice. So now you're involved in Carbon 6. I saw through the socials that you have and Carbon 6 released something really cool this week. What is it?
It's a white paper about the fees increase that are coming up on 2023. So we had our first drop on January 17 for the fulfillment and removal fees. So that's already done. Like there's nothing you can do about that, but just like make changes in your business to decrease or potentially avoid the increases. But there are other 5 different drops that are happening this year. So we basically, what we wanted to do, and this is something that we discussed last year. I remember we met in November, and we were planning the whole year. It's like, what we're gonna do? What's the plan? What's the topic? What is that we want to promote? And our whole message this year is profitability, because we see, and you could probably have been an spectator of these kind of shows of like, oh yeah, I sell 7 figures or 8 figures, 9 figures. I don't know now how many figures people have on Amazon. And at the end of the day, the bigger question is like, are you profitable? Like, are you really making money, or are you just flipping money, or you're just in a big debt? So I know people in the space that are very, very successful in paper, but when you go down to the numbers, it's like this business is losing money for every single sale they do. So because of that, and because we are in a stage of the industry where we are getting more professionalized, and that's something that Amazon have done a great job by putting more requirements and hard rules, and the compliance is being trickier and all this stuff. It have made sellers to be way more careful or conscious of all the areas that are involved in the business. Because at one point, and I believe that was true, I don't know, in 2010, it's that you source a product from China, you put on an okay picture with an okay title, and you could blow up in sales. Like, that's a true. And many people became very, very wealthy by doing that. But right now, that's not true anymore. And that's something that we need to accept, right? That does not mean that the business is over and Amazon is over and nobody could get in, and like that there isn't, it is not an amazing way to make money. It still is. It's still the best marketplace in the whole world. But you need to understand that the rules change, and that the rules are constantly changing. So if you want to really play the game, you need to understand the rules. So in that meeting of like, okay, we're going to talk about profitability, we need to address this. Like, we need to address that sellers understand their numbers in a very granular level. Like at the end of this white paper, a seller should have some answers and questions to be answered in their business. It's like, how much money are we making in this specific SKU? How much money are we spending in fees? How much money are we spending in storage? Because at the end of the day, what we want to incentivize is for sellers to have a profitable business, right? It doesn't worth if you just sell 7 figures, but you did no money, right? You didn't put anything in the pocket. And we have stories like when we were building the paper, we had a lot of stories. So I built this with Chelsea Cohen, which is the founder of SoStock. And together we were brainstorming and we shared stories. And she shared the story of a seller that used to sell 2 million a year and, profited 400,000. And last year, like they did 2 million or something, and they had minus so much money. Like they didn't profit anything. And the thing is, the thing is here, John, is not, this is not happening to little sellers that don't have no knowledge. This is happening to big people that have experience, but they don't know where the money's going. Why? Because again, Amazon changes the rules constantly. So every time it's a new rule, every time it's a new change, every time it's a new fee. So if you're not on top of that, then you're like, where is my profit? So yeah, the white paper is about that, and I can tell you more about all the fees that are coming. I really advise people to download that. We can put the link in the description here, so they can click and download the white paper. At the end, you're gonna see a case study. So a few things is the description, the change. So we compare the charts between last year and this year, and then the dates, and then a case study. So one part that is very difficult, and probably everybody could read the policy on Amazon. In Seller Central, you can go and read what's the change, but some people think that doesn't affect them. So we really want to illustrate the changes with a case study. And in the case study, we compare a larger standard item and an apparel item from 2021 to 2023 and how much is the increase. So in some categories, the increase was almost 1,000% more. So you're like, oh, wow. If you don't pay attention to that, your business is going to be over. That's the truth.
Oh, that's awesome. And I will also check out the case study later today and see what it's all about. And I think it goes back to the age-old saying, isn't it, that revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is reality. We've all seen people's businesses who are doing high revenues, can be profitable, but they're borrowing like crazy because they haven't managed their cash. They just did 900K a month. They went, we've managed businesses before that have gone from 30K a month to 900K a month in 6 months, and then they're 300K in debt because the amount of cash they needed to finance that growth is insane. So you need to be really careful on how much risk you're willing to take on that. Because if things go wrong, then you've got 300 grand's worth of debt.
Yeah, and the thing is, last year or the last 2 quarters of the year, I was really deeply thinking of how the economic situation, environment, or however you want to call it, will impact e-commerce, right? And it's not on the level of what's going to happen to my agency, because obviously, of course, as a business owner, we need to plan for that. But overall, how are we going to see that for little sellers? So I have the pleasure to speak to sellers in every single bracket of revenue. You could call it no store to billions of dollars on Amazon, and they have, at the end of the day, the same problem, the exact same problem. So that's where you're like, oh, okay, we can do something about it. And our way to do it, and in this specific case with the fees, is showing you what is going to happen if you don't take care of your numbers, if you don't take care of your margins. So yeah, 2 weeks ago, a good friend called me and he said hey, Vanessa, I'm closing my business. And I was in shock. I'm like, what? This guy's been in business for 7 years doing reselling. I remember in spring last year in 2022, I met with him in Vegas in an event, and he was so excited to tell me that he got a new warehouse. It was 13,000 square feet and all of the good stuff, all of the things you could dream as a seller. And in January, he just called me. He's like, I'm closing the business. So, and again, this is not new people. This is not guys that been in the blog for like a week. No, this is experienced people, but still they don't have the processes in place to go down to the very, very nitty gritty of their numbers and say like, okay, this is how much money we're making or losing or borrowing or whatever. You need to have those answers, because if not, you're making wrong decisions. Like every day you don't know your numbers, you're making the wrong decision, right?
I totally agree. And it's definitely been the case as well during the economic growth that everyone has, got fat, got loose on the numbers when people are making easy money. I've seen that in agency world, in the Amazon business world, in every world. And the tech companies right now, and they are laying off 10%, 15%, 20% of their workforce because we all got easy when times were easy. And now everyone's realizing, like, imagine how much more profit and money we would have made if we'd just been tighter on our numbers and tighter on our margins when things were going super well.
Exactly. So relying in the access of easy funding, that's another thing that we got used to it, like aggregators and stuff like that. Or I'm gonna sell my business for it like 10x whatever my business EBITDA is doing, because the aggregator boom was crazy. That's not there anymore. Like, and that's a reality that we need to swallow. Like, it is sad, like you miss the boat if you didn't sell. I'm sorry, but then this is where we separate the great from the greatest, I guess. It's like, can you survive in these very tight margins? And I was talking to my friend Steve Simonson, and he told me something that I knew that, but when he said it, it was like so obvious. It's like, people can not like run a business for a long time, like a long term, in tight margins. Like, this is something you cannot do. Like, you cannot run a business with 1% of profit. Like, that's just not possible, because you will never be able to grow. So I mean, that's been kind of my obsession these past months, or I don't know what, 8 weeks, something like that. Understanding the fees, understanding the game. So one of the things, my biggest discovery, John, and I don't know if you know this, but one of the things that I didn't understand was the removal and disposal fees. So in my mind, you read the policy and you're like, before, you're like, oh yeah, sure, we pay 50 cents per removal, and I have 100 units that I need to remove, so I'm gonna pay $50 to remove everything. And in paper, you're like, oh, perfect, that makes total sense, that's nothing. But that's not how removal orders work. Removals orders, that's the fee to do the removal, but they charge you for the shipping of the removal. And right now in 2023, in January 17, Amazon said, like, we are going to charge based on dimensional weight, not only the regular weight that the item has. So the increase there is, again, 980% in a large standard item. So before, in 2021, it used to cost like $1 and, like, I don't know, 24 cents or something like that. And now it's gonna cost $12. So you're like, wow. I mean, I don't know how much do you need to be selling a product to profit just $12. That's one of the things that you're like, oh, I think that's crazy.
Yeah, when you're praying to Amazon, please lose my inventory so that I can dispose of it in an efficient manner. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And so definitely check out the report from Vanessa and from Carbon 6, so you can really dive in and see your fees, because I mean, it's super important. So you've got this white paper. What should people do once they've read the white paper and they're like, ooh, I need some help with this? Is there any way that they can go to actually get help with doing this?
Oh yeah, so there are many ways. So when you read the white paper, you're gonna see that each section has its solution. So let's say for removals, the biggest advice there, or the biggest solution, is to appropriate forecasting. So you need to get better at sending inventory to FBA. Like, the decision to send a pallet needs to be very, like, well discussed and thought, and all of it, all of the which boxes need to be checked in order for a business owner to decide like whether they're gonna send a pallet or they're gonna just send a box, right? Because relying on tools like removals, it's not part of the game anymore. It's just not, like, it won't be a profitable way to manage your inventory. So one obvious solution is using a software like SoStock. So SoStock is a software to do inventory management, and that is the best software for Amazon FBA inventory management, because it only focuses on FBA on Amazon. Like, there are other softwares that do inventory management in an omni-channel way, and that's amazing if you're selling in different marketplaces and you have multiple channels, but they are not experts of the FBA algorithm. And the API and all the inventory performance and all those restrictions impact in a very, very heavy way. So each topic has its suggestions. For fulfillment fees, we have obviously the fact of, like, maybe you need to sit down with your supplier and reinvent the wheel on the way that you're going to pack your product. So you need smaller packaging, you need lighter products, you need something different, or you maybe need to sit with your team and define whether you're going to sell 1 unit or you're going to sell 3 units in the same thing, right? Because probably if you sell 3 units, you make more money, and you need to sunset the skew that is just 1, because it's not making money. So those are the things of, like, we tell you there where to look. We ask you the questions that you need to be asking yourself, and that is part of the owner to decide whether they're going to do it or not. And I do think if they don't take action on most things, at the end of the year, or maybe at the end of the quarter, they'll be like, what is going on? Like, what is going on with the payments, So that's the thing. The other, obviously, feel free to reach out to ask any questions. I had a meeting the other day with a brand that wanted to get like a full audit of their catalog, on the profitability side. So we're like, for sure, we can do that for you. We're gonna use tools. We're gonna tell you the analysis so you can understand better, because most times, and I do think that's true, is like the entrepreneur or the seller is very good at understanding the market or finding that opportunity, but they're probably not the best at reading the numbers and saying like, oh, we're profitable or not. So you need somebody to help you out. We can do it at Online Seller Solutions. We can also do it with the tools that we have at Carbon 6. So one amazing tool that we have for that is Managed by Stats. So with that Managed by Stats, you could get a dashboard that will tell you in a very, very deep way and super granular how much money you're making in each SKU, how much money you're making per brand, per category. Are you tracking your ACOS like in super detail, in order to make better decisions? Because at the end of the day, we need the data to make better decisions. It's not just to have a fluffy PDF of like, oh, these are my numbers. I mean, that doesn't get you anywhere, right? You should use that to make better decisions for your business. So those are the ways. The white paper itself is just an amazing resource and a bunch of tips. And the tips not only come from Carbon 6 and, the founders of the softwares, but we also have a few thought leaders in the space that contribute to the white paper. So they gave their advice, and that was super valuable. That also was a very fun part of the white paper to do, of like, talking to other friends and say like, hey, what do you recommend? And that's like very good at brutal sometimes advice, but we need to do it if we want to survive.
I love that. So thank you for sharing, Vanessa. And please do go and check out and download that white paper, because it's massively valuable, and I am going to go and read it later today. So we're going to move on to the next part of our podcast, and that is our spin the wheel competition. Are you okay to help us with it, Vanessa?
Of course.
So before we get into the competition, what we do to give back to our listeners here at the Amazon Strategist Show is we have a weekly competition. Please go and sign up from the link below where we are now, so that you can enter, and you'll be entered into every month, and every week we do this competition. We announce some winners right now, and then we dive in to to the prizes. Vanessa very kindly has put forward 3 prizes. 1 is a free account audit. 2 is a Spanish optimization, which I am no good at because I don't speak Spanish. And 3 is a back-end listing optimization from her company for 1 ASIN. That's 1 ASIN. So they'll do 1 ASIN for you. So we have 3 winners to announce before we dive into the competition. So can we do a drum roll, Vanessa? Can you be our drum? Okay. First winner, first name only, is Stephen. You have won a 30-minute video walkthrough of your PPC campaigns from Shampoo. So that is awesome. Congratulations, Stephen.
Yay.
Our second winner is Leo Dannon, who has won a Fortunet consultation. So Fortunet will dive with you personally to your business, whether it's a good time to sell now, and help you get the right path from where you are now to where you want to be if you want to sell your business in the future. And number 3, Vanessa, number 3.
Number 3.
We have ZZ Tops US. ZZ Tops US 1. So he must be a follower of ours. $400 from Seller Candy. So $400 worth of free reimbursements from Seller Candy.
Oh, wow.
We always sponsor our own stuff. Please forgive us.
I love it.
All right, so Vanessa, you've put forward your 3 prizes, and we have a lot of other prizes left on the wheel. We have Don from Crew Me, 30-minute consultation on any topic. Awesome. We have Amazing at Home, Canopy call with Brian Johnson. We've got Clear the Shelf. We've got Ecom Balance, $500 worth of credits with Nate, and we have many, many, many more. So, amazing producer, if you could bring up the wheel. All right, so Vanessa, you have control. And by that, I mean you have to say. You have audio control. Okay. You have to say spin that wheel, and the wheel will spin.
Okay, spin that wheel.
So pretty. Simply Works. Cool. So we have a SEO and PPC audit with Simply Works. So yeah, you should definitely check out their software, AI-based PPC management with human monitoring and human optimization on the back end. So really, really cool combination of AI plus human management. So one lucky winner gets that. But Vanessa, do you want to do it again?
Yeah, let's do it. Spin the wheel.
There's gonna be nice music on afterwards.
Right?
I wonder why we're sitting here in silence.
Ooh, Canopy.
Awesome. Canopy audit. So this is actually with Brian Johnson himself. So please enter now if you want to meet Brian. We had him on the podcast a few months ago now. So he's been on here for a long time. And our producer, Viv, made an amazing meme of Brian being the son of Jeff Bezos, and Dwayne Johnson. So there's a really good family picture there. So if you want to check out that episode, the video, you'll see the family resemblance there. All right, one more time.
Okay, let's do it. Spin the wheel. Ooh.
Oh, wow. Some really good prizes today. We have a 30-minute consultation with a crewmie. That's Don. Don is an amazing entrepreneur.
Amazing.
And,
he has a crazy story. Like,
so many crazy stories.
He's been in every single industry ever in the planet. It's just incredible.
Listen to that episode. He goes all the way through, how he was in publishing, running a single-person crazy business, selling that one, moving on to something else, selling that one. So, yeah, Don's a really, really interesting guy.
Yeah.
Cool. So, thank you so much, Vanessa. You are our best host yet for that. Don't tell anyone else. This is a secret episode, so don't tell anyone else.
Yeah.
We are moving on. All right. So, we have one question that we ask every guest at the Amazon Strategist Show, which is, what is the one strategic element you think most people are missing while selling on Amazon?
Well, I think the biggest one is probably not knowing their numbers in a SKU level. So a lot of people and businesses that I consult also, they know their revenue, they know their profit, like they know how much money they're making and they understand their cash flow, but probably they don't know which is the drivers, or which SKUs are the drivers to that profit, or which are the ones that are not performing at the level they need to be. So that is a hard thing to do as a business, especially on Amazon, because there are so many different factors that influence that profit, right? Because if somebody returns the order like 30 days after, then you get the reimbursement back, and still, so it's difficult, not impossible. And I do think that once you do that, you really have a better picture of your business. And I think Nathan is one of the person, Nathan from Ecom Balance, he's one of the person that talks a lot about that, like knowing your numbers in a very granular level. And I think he talks about doing it weekly. That to me is just amazing. But I mean, if you get to that point, you are 99% ahead of most of sellers, like 100%.
I totally agree. Like any business running, knowing numbers, and it's a lesson that took me a long time to learn through running many businesses. So yeah, amazing input. Thank you, Vanessa.
No problem.
So we have one section left of the podcast, which is our rapid fire questions.
Okay.
The rules for this, if there aren't really any rules, you just have to answer quickly. There are 9 questions. And are you ready, Vanessa? There has been no briefing on this, so these are all...
I'm ready. Wow, yeah. I don't know what questions. Okay.
Coming. Complete surprise. Very difficult question.
Okay.
All right, number 1. What is your favorite Amazon niche?
My favorite Amazon niche, I think, is electronics.
If you could choose no pictures or no reviews, which would you pick?
Can the reviews have pictures?
No clarification questions.
Oh, damn it. I will choose, no reviews.
Which Amazon marketplace is the next big opportunity?
Well, I definitely think the Latin, like Mexico. And you know what's funny? This is not an answer, but something. Amazon announced that they were, opening Colombia and Chile this year. And I know for sure, I met with somebody at Amazon and they told me they canceled that program. So they're not opening Latin America until further notice. So, I mean, I do believe they are the next big one. I just don't know when they're going to be open.
Nice. Latin America. So pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
100, por favor. I'm so, I love Italian food. And I know my nonna is going to, say, oh my God. But yeah, pineapple in pizza, yeah, for sure.
Name something appealing about working from home.
I don't like it. I'm done.
That's a good answer. Facebook ads or Google ads?
I don't run ads, but I think Google are better.
Name something you'd hate to find swimming around in your bathtub.
Nothing should be swimming around in my bathtub. Nothing. So, I guess everything that is nothing, it's a horrible thing to find.
Nice, thank you, Vanessa. You actually had some of the most insightful, different answers than anyone we've ever had. So thank you so much. That's awesome. You made some great outtakes. Okay, so contact. If anyone wants to follow you around the internet, see you, follow your content, what's the best place?
So my favorite social media right now is LinkedIn. I love it. It's so cool. So that's Vanessa Hung. And yeah, me, it's with a blue picture with a blue background. Then Instagram it's Vanessa Hung, and then Facebook Vanessa Hung too. Our website is onlinesellersolutions.com. If you want to also learn more about Carbon 6, that's carbon6.io. And for my email address, and feel free to email me anything if you have any questions, or if you want to know more about the events that are coming up or where I'm going to be, because I travel a lot, is Vanessa at onlinesellersolutions.com. Yeah, that's the way to contact me.
Cool. Thank you, Vanessa. So this brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you so much, as always, Vanessa, for joining us. We hope tonight's episode was valuable to you. Know your numbers, download the Carbon 6 white paper. As always, thank you for listening to the Amazon Strategist Show. If you enjoyed the show, please rate us on whatever platform you're listening, whether that's Apple, Spotify, Google. Subscribe, comment below if you're watching the video on YouTube. And until next time, I'm your host, John Cavendish. This is Vanessa, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you.